Hello, and welcome to episode 12 of the What If South is Up podcast, where we talk about the ups and downs of creating worlds from scratch and all the misadventures we experience along the way. In a nutshell, how to wing it like an author. My name is Xtina Lefebvre, and I'm in the middle of building my first world, a parallel Earth where colonization did not happen in the Americas, and writing my first book, which has a working title of Cogs and Arrows. It's a native futurism novel, and, that's all I need to say about it for now. Here with me is my witty and tall co-host, Derrick Hall.
Well, thank you, short but lovely co-host, Xtina Lefebvre. I am Derrick Hall, creator of the Crimson Prophecy series, book one of which, Ketron Odyssey, and the prequel, The Trials of Tiarsis, are available on Amazon, so if you haven't yet, go grab that. And book two is set to release on May 25th.
Woohoo! Yay!
Yay! No, not yay. I have so much work to do.
Oh.
I've got like 2 more rounds of edits I need to get through after betas, and yeah, it's rough. But it is what it is, and I have another novella that will be coming out sometime around then.
At the same time?
Probably not the same day, but I want to probably do it within a month on one side or the
good.
other. Just depends on what I finish first.
That sounds like a plan.
So how's your day going?
Today was pretty good. I have trigger finger, and I had to go get a shot in it today, and that hurt. As I told the nurse, that shot made me clench my butt. That was not tickling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
other than that, today, instead of actually working at work, I got to do a bunch of the IT side of it, like writing programs and fixing stuff. So that was fun. So
yeah, that's
I'm
always
having
fun.
A pretty good day. And what about you?
Not a whole lot. I've been editing on the novella and trying to get through that and doing some other stuff. Ran a couple of errands, including a fresh bottle of whiskey, which I'm very excited
Which
about.
you'll tell us about.
I will.
In a little bit.
In a little bit. They're going to have to wait. No spoilers.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
So, what are you reading or watching?
Well, I made a push to finish the HBO His Dark Materials series before our episode, and it was completely excellent. I have almost no complaints at all about the entire show.
So I looked that up, and I it's not part of any of the streaming services I have, so I'll have to hold off on a little bit. The one that I really want to watch, go back in time and watch, because I never got to see it, was Babylon 5, the original. I'd really love to see that, but again, it's not in it on any of the services I pay for, and I can't pay for any more. My gosh.
Yeah, I know. And as far as reading, I'm losing my mind tonight, apparently. But what else is new? As far as reading, I have finished He Who Fights with Monsters, Book 8. And I have started going back to something I read years ago and haven't been back to, and decided to give it another shot, and that is Will White's Cradle Foundation series thing. So I'm in the middle of the first book of that, and I'm realizing that he has inspired a lot of the other writers that I read.
Oh!
Lots of concepts and lots of things that I forgot about that have been popping back up in other things, to include He Who Fights with Monsters, which I think is really cool. So I love it when I can find like the inspiration behind things that I love. It always adds a little bit more depth to it somehow.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What about you?
So I'm reading a critique partner. Other than you, I have other critique partners, and I'm reading through his book right now. Mm-hmm. So I can't say anything about it, but I will say that it's got a great premise, and the voice is actually much more enjoyable now. He changed it from third person to an omniscient POV. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it just reads so much more funner.
Yeah, there's definitely a place for an omniscient POV. Yep. I would not want to even think about trying to write it, but yeah, there is definitely a place for it, and when it's done well, it's impressive.
And I am watching Carnival Row right now.
Oh, yeah. Didn't they drop a new season?
Yeah, so it got canceled in 2019, and then Orlando Bloom decided to pop down some money, and so 2023 they started it up again, and it's great. It's enjoyable. It's fun. It's beautifully dark or darkly beautiful.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I loved the first bit of it that I saw, so I'm gonna have to go back and follow that again. Boy, my list just keeps getting longer.
Well, you can actually pick up the second season, I think, without having to rewatch the first season because there's not a lot of.
If you can do that, good for you.
No,
I'm gonna have to start over.
There's only one character's so far. Only one. Well, no, that's true. That's not true. But nothing too deep. I think you could do it. I think you'd be okay.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll look at it. Read some episode descriptions or something and see how it goes.
Yep.
Our favorite time of the show. What are you drinking this week?
Nothing fancy. I did not feel like going to the liquor store before coming here. I mean, here.
No strange beer this week?
By the way, here being my house, not at your place for the audience. Okay. So I didn't feel like going shopping or anything. I just came home and it's an old standby and basically it's Bailey's and hot water.
Okay.
It's a
short and sweet.
It's just a cozy, comfy thing when it's cold outside. It's easy peasy. And you?
As I said, I picked up a new bottle of bourbon, which I've had it before, but I've never actually bought a bottle of it. I've had it at bars and stuff, and really liked it, so I figured why not? And it was on sale, which doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But I have Never Sweat Bourbon by Headframe Spirits, which is out of Butte, Montana, which is about 30 miles from me. I've been to their distillery and tasting room and all that stuff, and they actually age their liquor in a bunch of the old copper mines in Butte, Montana, which I think is super cool.
That is interesting. They've
repurposed them as cellars, which, for anyone who doesn't know, Butte has an amazing history going way, way, way back. 80% of the copper used in World War I came out of Butte.
Wow.
So it's a massive mining town, and they have a deep history. But, they make some good stuff, and I have it mixed with 7-Up. So, basically 7 and 7, but with a local bourbon.
Well, there you go. So
it's good stuff.
I'm happy for you and not at all jealous.
Come visit. We'll get you some.
All right, let's move on. Every week we like to share one sentence from our current works in progress. A single sentence, no context. Then we let you folks know if we're planning on getting rid of it or keeping it, if we had to let our darling die or not. Okay, so Derrick, ready for darlings? Dead or alive?
Sure.
All right, what you got?
His lackluster name was befitting of his lackluster appearance, being a bit too fat to be called skinny and a bit too skinny to be called fat, while still appearing pale and overall wholly unhealthy.
That's a great description.
Thank you.
I like description.
I'm proud of
that's
that
a great description. You did well.
How about you? Do you have anything?
Yeah, I got something. Without the roar of the fire, the crackling of wood burning, or the torrent of rain falling, the silence was acute.
Ooh, good use of acute.
Nope.
It's like my use of tattoo a couple episodes ago.
Yep.
No, I like that. I love using words in ways that they aren't typically used anymore.
But it's accurate. Yep.
Yes, it's acute. It's right to the point.
Yep.
It's sharp. You did good. That's beautifully descriptive. And
Thank you.
You can almost feel the silence, which is awesome. On to the point of the show and our favorite game of all time. Each week, we roll a d20, which helps us randomly choose from our perpetual list of 20 scenarios. And then we talk about how it would affect our made-up ad hoc worlds. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. We're going to roll and see what we get tonight. That roll is a 17. What if men weren't allowed to choose who they could marry?
What if Inara enacted a law that men can't choose their husband or wives or husbands.
Honestly, I think it would probably flip a lot of society on its head.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it would. I think you'd end up with an almost complete role reversal after a while.
How so?
Well, so my world is... It's a medieval-esque setting, right?
Yep.
So it leans patriarchal to a point, but not to a controlling point. It just... The main seats of power are mostly men. If you were to remove some of that power in choosing who to marry, I think eventually over time it would upset that, and you would either see a much more balanced system, or it would flip completely to a matriarchal society.
And how long would that take?
Probably 100 years or more. It would take a while, but I think it would actually make a huge difference. But as far as an immediate effect, other than a lot of really angry guys and a lot of really excited girls, I don't know that it would have an immediate impact. Well, it's kind of like the Sadie Hawkins dances that they used to have, where the girls would ask the guys. They might still do that in some places, or they might have a different name for it. But, you know, your standard high school dance, but the tables are turned. So now the guys have the stress of, is anybody going to ask me? And is it going to be somebody I actually want to go with? And all of that. So take that and put it on a societal scale. Alcohol sales are going to go up. And I have a feeling that overall production would go up as well, because a lot of men get stressed out or annoyed and they just put their head into work. So a lot more work would get done, but they'd also be drunk while they're doing it. So take of that what you will.
It would upset the balance of power as time went on more and more towards a matriarchal society, is what you're saying.
It would either balance itself out and it'd either be more egalitarian, or it would go completely to the opposite end and go full matriarchal. But that would depend on how everybody adapted.
In my world, I actually have not thought about marriage much at all.
Me neither.
I've thought a lot about, because I have 5 different humanoid species, about how they mate. Mm-hmm. And I've really wanted to stay away from or get away from, toxic masculinity or, misogynistic type of worlds. But that was not my intent when I put this question in. I don't know why I put that in there like that. But now that...
we're getting it out of the way.
I will say that some of the research I've done on Native Indigenous cultures... women did choose their husbands.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And that was the norm. It was the women got to choose. They weren't chiefs of the village, but not only did they choose who they married and who they divorced, but they owned all of the wealth. So even though the men were in charge, the women held the wealth. So if she decided to divorce a chief, he could no longer be chief because he had nothing to share. So
that's a good point. I never thought about that.
So that was interesting. So they had power, but it was like in the background. I think that in my world, in my story, in this world, if it was true that men could not decide who to marry, I think the person who would be most pissed off about this would be my antagonist. He absolutely...
He's just pissed off about everything.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. No, he has a right to. If you read the book, you'll find out. But I know.
Waiting.
Shush. Okay.
It's been a year and a half. Come on.
So if I would love to see this play out in a modern society. What would it be like if truly, we had presidents, right, who everybody knew they were president because their wife had the power, not like, people making fun of it today, or people who put down men who, let their wife rule them. Not that kind of snarkiness. But, what if when we're electing an elected official, we know it's because there's a symbiotic relationship between the couple.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting take for sure.
But how would it work for gay couples? Men who want to get married and not one of them's a woman. So that don't make no sense anymore. I'm done with this. Scratch this. It wouldn't work at all. It'd be outlawed.
Yep. I wondered how long it would take.
That don't work.
Yeah.
We're abolishing this.
Nope. No. Yeah, that's not going to work. Do you want to grab another question?
Sure. Let's do that.
Okay.
Well, however it sounds best. But yes, let's move on to something that's more equitable in a true sense.
Fair enough. Now that question's off our list, we will find something else. Okay. So, that roll for this week is a 7. That question is, what if the population of your world was not originally from your world?
That's kind of like the video you sent me today.
I wonder why.
Oh, okay.
I added it to the list. I didn't intend to land on it. I thought it was an intriguing concept. Like, honestly.
I think it is a very intriguing concept, and it's actually an underlying concept in my world that before humanoids came over to Cobb, there were only 4 clades, and none of them looked like us. And they needed another source for magic, so they started pilfering people from the parallel Earth that had 2-legged skin people.
That is the most flattering description of me I've ever heard. 2-legged skin
That's
people.
That's what we are. With the hair on top.
Meat bag.
Meat bags. Well, they're all meat bags.
Yep.
So I think that it would it would play very heavily, if people understood it, knew it, it'd play heavily into storytelling or stories, the mythos, the world, which it kind of does in many native traditions, because they say that they sprang from the caves the ant people brought them, for instance, is one story. So I think that if I were to play with this concept more heavily in my world, I think that it would never be questioned. Like, if we said that today, people would have a really hard time because of their belief in Christian-based belief systems. It'd be very hard nut to swallow. But in my world, that would not be in effect. And I think I could play with that a lot more in my world. And
it could be really fun.
It could be very fun to play with.
Honestly. Even in my world, it could be very fun to play with, because I actually have precedent that the elves are not from Ketra. They came to Ketra, but it is not explained where they came from.
Okay.
Mentally, this was sort of a Tolkien-esque sail from another land sort of thing, but now with this idea, and with some of where I'm planning to go in book 3, maybe they're not from that world at all.
So would you...
That could be fun.
Would you play with portals or spaceships?
Portals. It's fantasy. It's not sci-fi. Yeah. It's fantasy. So I would play with, like, dimensional travel and that sort of thing, which I'm already planning to do. So if you like that sort of thing, stay tuned. May 25th is part 2. But shameless plug. I need to quit
No,
doing
you don't.
That.
It's our podcast.
Our 5 listeners are tired of hearing it.
Last week we had 10, and now we're down to 5. What happened?
I don't know. Somebody gave up on us, and I feel very left out now. Words are hard. I can write them. I cannot speak them. I think I could play with some sort of, like, dimensional travel sort of thing where the elves just came from another world, and who knows, maybe we'll find them again.
That would be cool.
It would be cool. And it would work with the ending I have vaguely in my brain. So,
that sounds an awful lot like planning.
No. It's not planning. It's not planning. It's being prepared. There's a difference. I actually have done some planning for book 3 just because it's the last in the trilogy and I gotta make sure everything ties together.
It'd be hard not to.
I hate every second of it, but it has to be done. Mm-hmm.
So if for my world, people coming from another world, they don't have any more powers. They're not any better than anybody else on this world. They just need their bodies. If you were to, and I like that. I don't like the idea of bringing our world being seeded by a humanoid species or a species that was more powerful than it was there, and they just took it over. That I don't like. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Well, that rules science fiction out.
Yeah.
So that's like 90% of science fiction, either colonization or invasion.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong. And
I know I'm not wrong.
And it doesn't. I don't believe that any other creature is better or more powerful than another one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is definitely a digression, and I might cut it later, and I might not. I don't know, but it depends on how it plays out. I have been playing Mass Effect Andromeda recently, and I actually really appreciate the way that they treat the whole colonization thing.
Yeah, how's that?
Because they sent 3 basically massive ships of colonists 600 years away, not light years, like it took them 600 years to get there, to this group of planets that they found to be habitable. But when they get there, the planets aren't, and you have to sort it out and figure it out and all that. But in the process, you find several other, I hesitate to say alien species because we'd be the aliens in that case, but several other species of people living on these planets. And basically, it's not, get out of my way, I'm moving in. It's, how can I help you? How can we coexist? And if you don't want us here, we'll go find a different planet.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate how they did that. It's not your typical, we're moving in and
take it or leave
locals
it.
be damned.
Yeah, take it or leave it, we're here.
It's, we really need some place to live. Is there any way we can cooperate or come to a compromise, or, you know, you have this problem, your people are being kidnapped, let me see if I can find them, and maybe we can come to an agreement if that works out, that sort of thing. It's very side questy, which is fine for a game. I don't think it would work quite as well in a book, but I appreciate the way that they handled that, because that is not what I was expecting out of a mainstream sci-fi franchise. Especially one that centers around big guns.
Yeah.
But no, they did a really good job with it, and I appreciate that.
And I think you're right. They could get away with it in a game, not in a book, because in a book, where's the conflict?
Oh, there's conflict. There's plenty of conflict, and there's plenty of stakes. It's actually a fantastic story. It is a masterclass in storytelling. If you punch through the game aspect of it and just look at the narrative, it's brilliant. At least the part I've gotten through so far. And I know a lot of people really hated that game when it came out, but I'm actually really enjoying it. Mass Effect in general is known for being a very morality-driven game, if that makes sense. Every conversation you have, every decision you make actually has an effect on the world and your relationships with people. And, you know, like, you can be snarky with your crew, but you have to be diplomatic with the officers, and, you know, that sort of thing. And if you don't, it's going to come back and bite you. And it's, like, there's no wrong answer, but there's a lot of not great answers either. So, it's very true to life in that way. No matter what you do, somebody's going to be pissed off.
I could see that, yep.
But I digress.
I heard you. I heard your digression. It was a good digression. So, this was an exercise in, short answers for the questions.
Sure.
We don't always have to go into a diatribe. Would it be diatribe? Monologues, monologues. We don't have to go deep into it all.
I thought it was diatribe.
It's diatribe. Really? Diatribe? Really? We'll have to ask Grammar Girl.
It's like an homage.
Homage.
Oh, I'm going to stop before you get mad. I'm in a weird mood. I'm sorry.
You're not sorry.
I'm a little bit sorry. I keep derailing the conversation.
No, that's fine. We don't always have to go through deep about a single question. I think that we just set a new rule.
No,
if it's a quick answer, we can roll the dice again.
Fair enough.
Because we make the rules.
Give the people what they want.
Give the people what we want them to want.
You okay?
I don't know. I'm riffing off your weirdness.
Anywho.
So, with that being said, or with us having discussed these two things tonight, I think it's fair to ask our favorite 5 to 10 listeners. Send us an idea.
The faithful few.
Send us an idea that we need to put into our repertoire of questions or scenarios.
Yes, please.
Yes.
We only have so much creative bandwidth. We need your help.
We do need your help.
Yep.
So if you're writing a book or creating a world, take a little moment out of it, take a snippet out of it, and send it to us and say, how would this affect your world if your world did this?
Mm-hmm. That's actually a cool take on it, too.
Yep.
If you want to, you can head over to the website, shoot us an email, or if you want to be on the show, you can do that at the website as well. There is a link there to our sign-up form, and if you fill that out, we will get in touch. Xtina, how can folks find you on the great and mighty interwebs?
Well, thanks to you, they can go to whatifsouthisup.com, and there's a link there to my website, which is uniquelyxtina.com, and TikTok, Facebook, and Insta, and other things, but that's where you can find me. And Derrick, where can folks find you?
Well, my website, which you can also get to from our podcast website, is derrickHallAuthor.com. But you can also find me as D Hall Author on the Clock, Facebook, or just about anywhere else you want to look. I am not hard to locate.
Not once we know you're there.
Yeah, well.
You may be tall, but I think I'm taller, so I win.
I'm gonna be the bigger man. And ignore that.
Okay.
Alright, everybody. There's probably going to be more bloopers than episode this week, but that's okay. We all need to laugh every now and then. But thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time on What If the South is Up.
See you next time. Thank you.
I'm still taller than you. And all the disadvantages we face along the way.
Okay, I'm going to start again.
We are persecuted. Nobody loves us anymore.
Here we go. Hello. See, you can't laugh when I start. Oh, they can't hear if you laugh on my end. Duh. Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Here we go. Now we're going. All right.
And then we talk about how
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
there's your blooper.